the Ripper, the police were no closer to catching the killer. And inside the files of the forensic pathologist lay post-mortem reports on 10 murdered women. People in West Yorkshire began to lose faith in the police.
Before Sutcliffe was caught, I think the majority of people thought the West Yorkshire police were a load of rubbish.
The Ripper case was the largest, the most significant, the most demanding terms in manpower that had ever happened in this country. And I don't think the police service were geared to taking on such a long, hard, difficult inquiry that affected the health and well-being of so many officers.
Three more women were to die. 3 women whose brutal deaths might have been prevented, but for fatal mistakes made by the police during the biggest manhunt in British criminal history.
As I was walking down, I felt somebody behind me, and then I noticed a shadow, and then it hit me from behind and I went down.
I'm Jack. I see you are still having no luck catching me. I have the greatest respect for you, George, but the Lord, you are no nearer catching me now than 4 years ago when I started.
In the summer of 1979, the manhunt moved northeast to the banks of the River Wear. A man with a Sunderland accent had sent a tape claiming to be the Ripper. Police called in Stanley Ellis, an expert on regional dialects, to pinpoint the origin of the voice.
Well, you see, north of the river distinguishes itself because although it's not Geordie, it's still Wearside. There are some Geordie elements beginning to creep in. September, October. That was a bit more of the Newcastle kind than October that you'd expect to get in Sunderland. It was all, as I say, impressionistic, but it did seem to me that this area, Castletown, was the one that I had the best match.
I warned you in March that I'd strike again. Sorry it wasn't Bradford. I did promise you that.
The pit village of Castletown found itself suspected of harbouring Britain's most wanted killer.
I'm not quite sure when I'll strike again, but it will be definitely sometime this year, maybe September, October.
The Northumbria police arrived in force.
We set up in what was on the main street, just playing the tape, walking around with clipboards, talking to everyone and anyone, trying to attract a crowd. I listened to it at Castletown. We played it to everybody we met. We invited people to come in. It was on the loud hailers all the time from the porter cabin. When I went to the instant room, which I was there for over a year, the tape was played continually to people phoning up asking them to listen to it. And it was playing all the time in your background when you were, whatever you were doing, photostating, filing, indexing, writing, it was there playing in the background. It was, you know, we didn't have a radio or anything, we just listened to the Ripper tape day in, day out.
In Castletown Working Men's Club to this day, the bar is strictly segregated. Women are only permitted in one corner. For men and women here, the Ripper connection sowed suspicion and fear. Police questioned everyone.
Every time you answer a question, it's yes. For example, they said to me, do you travel away? And I said, yes, from time to time. Do you go to Yorkshire? Yes. Do you drive a Ford? Yes. And everything, and by this time you're thinking, hang on, is it me? And of course, with police all over the village, It was a frightening time for everybody.
I mean, they could have picked on you, and what could you have done about it? I couldn't remember where I was that particular week. I mean, I was in Bradford as it happened. If they had said, you're the Ripper, how could you prove you're not the Ripper?
It was horrible when you had them knocking at your door and questioning your husband, and you used to be terrified, thinking could it be him, or you used to suspect everybody.
I mean, if it was supposed to be somebody writing these letters in Castledown, was he in Castledown? Walking about and being made you frightened to go out on the night.
Only 5,000 people lived in Castletown, yet nobody recognized the voice.
I'm Jack. I see you are still having your look catching me.
Nobody identified the man who sent the letters and the tape.
You are no nearer catching me now. 4 years ago.
The failure came as a great surprise for the dialect expert Stanley Ellis and his Leeds University colleague Jack Windsor Lewis.
It can't be much good.
We were quite sure that its dialect characteristics and its personal characteristics were such that he would be instantly recognised, and therefore he would be found. We were amazed when he wasn't found.
Even if you do get near, I'll probably top myself first.
It could be that he was a member of your family and you didn't want to grass on them, that sort of thing.
And you've also got to remember that this whole community did not want the murderers to be from them. And they couldn't believe that all these murders that were carrying on in Yorkshire had anything to do with the northeast of England.
Well, it's been nice chatting to you, George. Yours, Jack the Ripper.
George Oldfield, Assistant Chief Constable, taunted personally by the voice, was still sure the tape and letters had to have come from the Ripper. He was wrong, with tragic consequences. 150 officers had now spent a full year checking cars in the red light districts. A black Sunbeam Rapier was seen twice in Leeds, once in Manchester, and 36 times in Bradford. The police national computer revealed the name of its registered keeper, a Mr. Peter Sutcliffe. In July 1979, Detective Sergeant Andrew ep2 was still a constable. He was sent on a routine assignment to interview the driver.
We were always told that it could be the next door you knock upon, the next phone call you get. So you went to that house with an open mind.
The next door DC ep2 knocked on was number 6 Garden Lane, Heaton, in Bradford. Home of Peter Sutcliffe, a man of 33 with a Bradford accent, and his wife Sonia.
They seemed an odd couple. He was a lorry driver, she was a teacher. He was very quiet, she was quite vociferous. The thing that struck me more than anything was the uncanny resemblance to the Marilyn Moore photo fit. The victim who survived, there was an uncanny resemblance. I had bad feelings about the man. He had too many uncanny links with what we knew. There was a gap in his teeth. His shoe size fitted the suspect's shoe size. Both my colleague and myself, when we left the house, sort of looked at each other and said, we're not happy with this man. There was something sinister about him, something weird. And there's always your own particular irrational gut feeling, if you like, about a person. Well, I submitted a report about our suspicions. We got the report typed up and we got it forwarded to the incident room, and we brought it to the attention of the senior investigating officer.
The senior investigating officer was Detective Superintendent Dick Holland.
I don't specifically remember the ep2 report. It passed through me along with many, many others, hundreds of thousands of others, and unfortunately I filed it.
Peter Sutcliffe had the wrong accent and the wrong handwriting.
It's something I will have to live with for the rest of my life. It shouldn't have been filed. I wish I hadn't done it, but you can't turn the clock back. It was one of those things, but I must say that at that time, no one had seen all the information on Sutcliffe coordinated into one file. We were using a manual system. There were no computers of the type that there are today. We live in a computer age, and everything about Sutcliffe would be on one file. It never was.
Sutcliffe had now been interviewed 5 times. Crucial information about his earlier record lay scattered in different police files. Information DC ep2 did not know.
The things I didn't know about Peter Sutcliffe when we knocked on his door was that he had a conviction for going equipped for theft. When I made an inquiry with the records office, all I got was a note saying he had a conviction going equipped for theft. It did not say that the conviction was going equipped for theft with a hammer.